I reached out to the audience, like I do on the night of recording every single time we record the show, and asked for your questions. And No Fate has written in. Let's hit the jingle. There once was a show some time ago that asked for questions every fortnight or so. It became so rare they weren't prepared to have a versatile rhyme. Oh God, I'm scrambling now to get a word that rhymes, so how can I wrap this up? I'll take this mail and go. No Fate has written in, saying, since game stores stopped taking in used games, what effect do you think this will have on the ecosystem? Or do you see an opportunity for someone else to step in on the used games market? Can we see used games become more expensive / collectables? Guys, what do you think? First off, what do you think about the news? And then secondly, let's answer No Fate's question. Phil Hoy, the fine wine. Let's hear your take.
Yeah, this one's a difficult pill to swallow, this one, because I've always been an advocate for the physical when it comes to games. I've got a huge array of video games behind me. If we ever angled the camera slightly higher, you would see, it goes all the way up to my ceiling full of games. So to see that opportunity now that I have lessen, where I can buy sort of secondhand games, it's not the nicest thing to read. But then I think to myself, have I ever gone into game and bought a secondhand game? The answer's probably no. I wouldn't ever go in game and think I'm going to buy it doesn't scream to me. Probably some of the listeners, probably some of the viewers out there may have gone in and bought secondhand games and traded secondhand games. That's not really what I do. I tend to just pay for a game and then keep it forever, and it just sits on the shelf. If I played it or if I haven't, it just sits there, and I like to have that within my collection. But I know gamers been changing its sort of market quite a lot, because there's quite a few around Bristol where I live, and one of the local ones set up this big kind of LAN section to their setup. And I remember going in there maybe a few weeks back, probably a few months back, and that had disappeared. So I know they are rapidly trying to find out what works and what sticks within the video games industry. You know, it was only a few episodes ago we were talking about the decline of the physical, and video games companies opting out of selling their media physically. So I think game are kind of in that transition at the moment of kind of trying to discover what works and what doesn't. You know, someone's looked at the figures, and I think this is just probably the next thing to fall, because as I said earlier, you know, I wouldn't have thought of game as the place to go for my second-hand games. You know, for me, it's always been eBay or CX. I have a CX probably 10 minutes down the road, and whenever I go and have a haircut, I always wander in there and probably end up spending more money on a second-hand game than I do on my haircut. And, you know, I like to look good. So I spend a fair amount of money in CX. So I would never go to game, really. So for this going, it's sad news to hear. But for me personally, it's not going to affect me.
What about yourself, Spence?
For me, I don't even think this is news. I think this isn't even worth us talking about. Game has never been the place for it. As much as, sure, when you were a kid and there wasn't really CX or sex as it is pronounced, but no one does CX. It's just, I don't think I've traded in games to game since PS2 era. If not, actually, I remember the last time. It was just after the Wolverine game had come out.
What game?
The Wolverine.
Yeah.
Yeah, great game.
Origins. Explain Origins.
Origins Wolverine, yeah.
Yeah, great game.
Sick game. I beat it in 2 days. So I bought it full price, took it back to game 2 days later with all my other games. They gave me £2 for it.
Fucking robbery.
£2. 2 days after it had released. And they were selling it for what? 40, 50, 40 at the time. £2 they gave me. Outrageous. But that's what happened. I haven't taken games there since. It's always CEX or just Facebook Marketplace exists. The thing is, with something like this, no one uses them anymore anyway, because you sell your games for really cheap and then they charge extra high for people to buy them back. Whereas Facebook Marketplace, someone's paying less than they would at game and you're making more than you would selling it to game. It's no reason to go to an outlet for something like this anymore, because you can just communicate in so many different ways and sell privately. I don't even think this is news. I don't know when the last time anyone sold the game was.
You have got to look out in the UK, though, if you are selling too many things over a marketplace, because you should be paying tax when you meet a certain threshold. And it's been massively in the news over the last couple of months. All these people making loads of money on Vinted, selling their secondhand clothes, are getting whacked with a big tax bill. So if you are selling your games on Facebook and, all these online marketplaces, just make sure it's either cash in hand or you're smart about it, all right?
Thanks for the tax advice there, Phil.
Yeah, I think, there's just this competition now. CEX exists, and CEX just does it better than Game always has. It's what CEX is. Whereas Game is usually where I'd go to get a new game. CEX is literally built on secondhand. Every single thing they sell is secondhand, even if they charge you 550 quid for a PS5, which is how much they cost, or more than they cost. But Game isn't the place for this, so this news, it means nothing to me.
I think this news, the reason why this is such a good thing, and no fear, I'll come on to answer your question in a moment, is that there's a lot going on at the moment in the physical media space. In terms of there's just a lot of things that are happening. There's a lot of stores in America that we were reporting on a few episodes ago. I think it was Walmart, where they said they're not stocking physical games anymore. You think, fuck, okay, that's a warning sign. And then you think about this now with used games where they're not going to be taking them. Shit, that's another warning sign. The disparity between physical and digital purchases, it has been a long-running warning sign. There's so many little blows here that just keep on coming towards used games. But when it comes to game itself, stopping it, I completely agree with both of you. The last time I traded in a game, and it wasn't really even meaning to trade in a game, but I had no option because they fucked me over, was I bought and I spoke about this game on the podcast before, but I bought this game that I played the demo for, and it was sick on PS3, where you had this like glaive that you pulled out of your arm and you threw and you controlled it, right? Remember I spoke about this before. I can't remember the name of the game for the life of me at the moment.
Haze.
It wasn't Haze. Haze is a first-person shooter.
That's what I thought it was.
No, it wasn't Haze.
Dark Sector?
Dark Sector, fucking hell, what a great memory. How the fuck do you remember that?
I've played it, mate. I've played that game.
God, that game was shit. I pre-ordered it, bought it, took it home, played it for about 3 hours, and I thought, fuck this fucking game. Took it back on the same day I'd bought it with the receipt, and they said, sorry, you've opened it. I was like, yeah, but it's shit. And they were like, yeah, sorry, you're going to have to put it in as a trade-in. And for a brand new game, I paid like 40 quid. I got like 20 for it on the same fucking day that it came out. And I was like, fuck this. Now, I've never really traded in games ever since PS2. Because on PS2, I was on paper round. And so I had like no money, and it was the only way I could do it. So I keep all the best games, like keep Psyops, keep Metal Gear Solids, all those, trade everything else in. So my PS2 catalog down there is really small compared to my PS1, my PS3, PS4, etc. and so on. But I'm the same as you guys. Whenever I go into game, which is very rare because their prices are fucking extortionate, I do have a look around to see if there's like a little golden nugget, if there's something there that's snuck in. And generally, it's just all copies of FIFA and COD, right? Those seem to be the games that are always there. Probably a Dark Sector copy. I'm mostly CX, same as you guys. Yeah. And when I'm looking for a game, like say I'm looking like I'm reviewing something on PS2 or PS3, whatever, I'll always, first place I'll go on CX and see what they're selling it for, because then they can ship it either to your home address or to a store. So it may be stored it may be there's one copy of the game that Carly mentioned, Outbreak, but it's in Liverpool. No bother. Just get it shipped down to your local store. So good. Like, they're so good at being able to keep these old games still accessible. And sure, the ones that are worth something, like you get a original like PS1 version of Silent Hill and Perfect Nick, like that's they mark that up as like 300 quid, right? Fucking ridiculous price. But at least there's an opportunity for you to get it. And it's a nationwide store where people are trading in from all over, and it's on an online repository that you can then say, oh yeah, do you know what? I'm going to get that. I'm going to put the money down. I'm going to buy it. It works so well. So I think game stopping isn't the big news. If something like CX was like, yeah, we don't do this anymore.
Oh yeah.
that would be fucking devastating news. That would crush me. But yeah, I think that's where we go with that.
CEX still sells DVDs.
Yeah.
They're not getting rid of games, mate, are they? Come on.
VHSs, yeah, you can buy it all in there. You can buy a friend's box set on VHS.
Lad, I've seen loads of UMDs.
I don't think we're close to a reality where CEX just goes, do you know what? Video games, fuck them off.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, don't. But let's go back.
Let's not tempt fate.
Yeah, definitely don't tempt fate. So let's go to No Fate's question here. He said, since Game have stopped taking in used games, what effect do you think this will have on the ecosystem? I can imagine from what we said, no impact whatsoever, because CEX is there.
Yeah.
Are we all in agreement on that one?
I think the ecosystem is changing. I don't think this specific news has impacted the ecosystem.
Do you agree with that, Phil?
Not 100%, I have to be honest. I don't believe it'll have no effect because Game is a big name, okay? And there will be a contingent of people out there that regularly go into Game and trade games up to buy further games. I've been in there many times just browsing as you walk past. And you see people going in, their mums and dads, and they're there, oh, you got to get rid of Billy's old, Xbox to get the new version of Starfield. Ooh, cannot wait to get that home and play. You see those people out there, or the newest version of FIFA. I've really got to get that. So just because us three don't go into Game and trade up games these days, I don't think we speak for the vast majority, and I'm quickly understanding that more and more and more. I think we are a very specific area of video games. I'm not sure we talk for the complete entirety of people who consume games. So I think this will have an effect on the market because, as I said, they're a big name and they are dipping out of the market. Now, is it going to increase prices? I don't really believe that because obviously you've still got the bigger players, which is CEX and eBay, I suppose. And those sort of mirror each other. So I've got a little story. I went into CEX and I was looking at Alan Wake and I saw it in there because I wanted to take your recommendation from a previous show to play the original Alan Wake before I played Alan Wake 2. So I thought I'd go into CEX, see how much the remaster is. Went in there and saw it. I think it was 20 something pounds, and I thought, oh, that's affordable. I think I'll probably pick that up and get on it, right? And I went for my haircut, and I looked on eBay, and I was seeing Alan Wake on there for thousands of pounds, right? There was a couple of chances out there that are just putting things out there. But generally, as you started to scroll through eBay, you started to see more and more between the 20 and 30 pound mark. So I think those two ecosystems very much mirror each other. I don't think Game really has too much impact on if the prices are going to go higher or lower. But I do like the other section of what No Fate had to say there. That other idea of leaving a gap in the market for someone to scoot in and sort of mop that up, almost buy the back catalogue and open up maybe an online store or something else as a bit of a competitor to be able to get that group of stock, those older games, to be able to sell. So I see there is an opportunity there. Because chaos is a ladder at the end of the day, boys. We know this from Game of Thrones. When shit starts going down, there's someone there who's got a better way of doing it. And that's all it takes. That little gap, and they'll squirrel their way in and make some big bucks. But overall, I don't think it's going to affect the pricing. I just think it leaves an opportunity for someone to come in and disrupt the market. Change it, switch it up, make it better.
Well, thank you for your thoughts, Phil. I mean, before I hand it over to yourself, Spence, I don't know if I agree with you, Phil. I think that the market's full. I think CEX does the job. I think when you got CEX, like you mentioned earlier, Spence, direct consumer to consumer when it comes to like Facebook Marketplace, eBay, that's all you need. I don't think if somebody else came in, what are they offering that CEX doesn't do? It would just be they'd be battling them on price, which then does work better for us, right? And that would help. But then you're talking more than stock being an issue. And how do you have enough when people have been trading in CEX for years or selling them direct to each other? I don't know. I think it's a messy place for someone to step into. You'd be stepping into a dying ecosystem. Like, I think as much as we don't want to admit it here, we got maybe one gen left of physical and it's over. I think that I'm surprised this gen that it wasn't all digital. They could have done it, and it would have pissed people off. They could have done it. And now we're seeing publishers take the stance, and they're releasing Alan Wake direct to digital. There's no other way to get it. People kick off, yeah. Does it stop game sales? No, I doubt it. You know, it sucks. I don't want to accept that fate either, but I think that we're literally a few years away from a full digital ecosystem. I don't want to see that fate either, but that's the reality, I believe. So I don't think that there is an opportunity for somebody else to step in, and I can't see used games becoming more expensive because there are ways for people to be able to still sell them to each other at a reasonable price, and the market speaks. Nobody's going to buy a used game for close to what it is on a digital level. You have to price down from that. Otherwise, there's no reason for someone to buy it off you. They'll just buy it digital. So I think those two things will keep each other in check, and that's why it's not going to become more of a thing than that. I don't know your thoughts on it, Spence.
Honestly, it's a shame, but I'm in complete agreement, because just the other day, I was looking at my stars rewards, and I've got 30 quid in points just from buying and playing games and doing challenges. And it's like, why don't I just get everything digital and keep racking up my points? I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, why am I buying physical games? And ultimately, it's because it's usually a bit cheaper, and that is nice. But in terms of secondhand used games and stuff, I don't know. The prices aren't going to go up, like you said. There's too many ways to communicate with people and buy stuff privately. I think I also completely agree with what you said, which is the market's full. I think no way is someone going to come in and try to compete with CEX, Facebook Marketplace, eBay, all those retailers that are already just killing it with what they're doing. DK Oldies sells really old refurbished tech and games. Yeah, the market's full. I don't see we'll see much change for a while, but like you said, I really expect us to one day be showing our kids and used to put the disc in the game.
Yeah.
Rather than download it.
Who buys CDs now? Like, I know that LPs are a thing, and that's like the collectible version of that, and that's like your way to really like show off and say you got a big fucking dick. Oh, I got it on LP. It's like, yeah, but you're a fucking small minority, right? I'm not talking to yourself specifically, Phil. There's lots of people that have LPs, right? My dad's one of them. He still buys
been having
LPs.
a go at me all episodes.
No, this
another
isn't
sly dig.
It's not.
I just got a record for my, my birthday off my brother for my favourite band.
But
and now you're throwing that in my face. Ouch.
This is the thing, though. You get it for, and I'm the same. I'd look at buying an LP for something that I really enjoy, right? Like, I'd get Trivium Ascendancy, my favourite album of all time. Get that on LP. I really want that done. Get it signed by, Matt Heafy and all the guys, and have that there, right? But then, will I then think to myself, oh, I'm going to listen to that LP? No. I'll just go on fucking Spotify because it's on my phone, right? Like, it's just so easy. And convenience ultimately does win out. And as much as we've managed to resist it more than like any other medium I can think of, like books, I suppose, are still doing okay, and they're working alongside Kindle, right, for having a digital copy. But for a game, there's no benefit for me putting a physical disc. There's no fucking benefit. No. At least for a book, you've got the tactile feel of a book, and there is something nice about that. Whereas a game, there's no fucking difference other than I'm just putting an extra step in my way and I choose to do that.
That's the issue. The issue with that is just how games have evolved over time. Back in the day, you pop a disc in, it's ready. Now, if you think I've got shit internet, so I'll buy it physically, you still have to install the game. It's not helping you at all.
Yeah, there's no benefit to it.
There's zero benefit nowadays.
But we still do it.
The industry itself is forcing it on us, with Call of Duty being, 20 meg on the disc, which just allows you to download the entire game. Collector's editions giving you digital copies instead of physical. The entire medium is pushing in this direction. Yeah, it's tapped.
You think we've taken this... You and me have gone down this route now for digital and physical. We've had the same idea. And partly because I suppose we both... Then if we buy digital, we pay half price essentially, right?
Yeah. But
we've taken the stance that for anything that's like a game that's going to be on cycle, like your Street Fighters... Even Helldivers, I've done this for now. Anything that's going to be installed for a long time that I'm going to want to go back to in between other bigger experiences, buy digital. Because it just saves the fucking faff.
Yeah.
And we could be like, like COD. COD was the first one we did it for. oh, let's go digital on COD, because then we could just, if we're playing something else and you want 5 minutes, yeah, I'll just boot up COD. You don't have to take the disc out. And we've taken the half step. How long will it be before we unintentionally step into an all-digital future? Maybe a year? Maybe 2? I can see that myself, unfortunately, moving away from what I've got up there and my full physical game collection and just going digital. And it fucking sucks. It's sad. It's actually sad. It gets you really sad. But convenience is just so fucking good.
Yeah.
And it does suck, and it takes away the chance that people will be able to protect games and they get taken off the store and then you can't ever get them ever again. License expires, you can't get them. And that fucking sucks. It's horrible. Convenience ultimately wins out, though.
Isn't it weird that I accept digital PC games, but I can't accept digital PlayStation games?
Yeah.
That's so weird. Like, I go on Steam and I buy games and, like, I don't give a fuck, right? And I'm just happy to do that because I know Steam's going to be there forever. Like, I remember when Steam was green, right? It's been around forever, right? And it's always been installed on my computer. So I trust it. Is it me that doesn't trust PlayStation? Maybe. I don't know. Because digital, the problem with having a digital kind of like storage of games is if that disappears, but PlayStation isn't going to disappear. Why do I distrust that? I don't know. Maybe we'll have to unpack that. I'll speak to my therapist about that one.
It could be a hang-up from PS3, mate. You know, like, we can't access any of that library. So all it takes is another stupid fucking decision from Sony, which I can't ever see happening now going forward, mind you. But it could be that. It could be a hang-up from that. You just never know. Fuck knows. As you said, therapy is probably a good idea. No, Faye, I really hope we've answered your question there fully. Audience, I'd love to unpack your thoughts on this when it comes to digital x physical debate. We've kind of spun off from No Fate's question here and gone a lot further into this than I assumed we would do. But I think it's sparked up even more conversation we can have. If you've got any other further questions on this, don't hesitate to reach out to us, let us know.